The observation deck of Station Kepler-7 offered a panoramic view of the Andromeda Gateway. But Security Officer Vekthar wasn't admiring the stellar vista. His 4 eyes were fixed on the human walking through the promenade with what appeared to be a small parade of Zarthian cubs trailing behind her like ducklings. "Excuse me," Vekthar called out, his translator converting his clicking mandibles into standard galactic. "Human Elara Nox, you are aware that Zarthian juveniles are classified as Category 3 protected species, correct?" Elara Nox stopped and turned, her expression shifting from mild confusion to dawning realization. Behind her, 7 fuzzy, 6-legged cubs stumbled to a halt, their crystalline eyes blinking in unison. The smallest one, barely the size of a terrier, bumped into her leg and let out a small chirping sound. "Oh," Elara said, glancing back at her entourage. "These guys?" "Yes, these guys," Vekthar said, his antenna twitching with barely concealed exasperation. "Why are the cubs following you? Do you have any idea the diplomatic incident this could cause?" "The Zarthian matriarchy takes the well-being of their young very seriously." Elara scratched the back of her neck. A gesture Vekthar had learned indicated human embarrassment. "Because I said stay near once?" The security officer's translator made a sound suspiciously like a record scratch. "You." "What?" "I was in the botanical gardens about 2 hours ago," Elara explained, kneeling down to gently pat the head of the cub nearest to her. A particularly fluffy one, with silver-tipped fur that Vekthar's database identified as Ruin, offspring of Ambassador Thexera. They were playing near the crimson thorn vines, which are, poisonous to pretty much everything. So, I told them to stay near me instead. Vekthar felt a migraine forming in his primary neural cluster. "And they just obeyed?" "Well, yeah." Elara shrugged. "Kids are kids, right? Universal constant. Human Nox," Vekthar said slowly, pulling up his datapad. "Zarthian cubs are notoriously difficult to control. Their own parents use complex pheromone signals, hierarchical displays, and sometimes mild sedation to maintain order. The psychological literature suggests they possess what your species would call oppositional defiant disorder until they reach their 3rd molt." As if to emphasize his point, Vekthar gestured to a nearby cafe, where a Xarthian parent was engaged in what appeared to be a pitched battle with a single cub over a dessert item. The parent was losing. Elara watched the scene, then looked back at the 7 cubs sitting obediently at her feet. Rune had curled up against her boot and appeared to be falling asleep. "Huh," she said. "That's weird." "That is an understatement of catastrophic proportions," Vekthar replied. "What exactly did you say to them?" Elara thought for a moment. "I think it was something like, 'Hey, those plants are dangerous. Why don't you guys stay near me and we can find something fun and safe to do instead?' Then I showed them the koi pond. And they simply complied." Rune here was a bit hesitant at first, Elara said, gesturing to the silver-tipped cub. "But after I explained that the fish were friends, not food, and let them watch the feeding cycle, they all seemed pretty content to hang out." Vekthar's mandibles clicked in confusion. This made no sense according to every xenopsychology text he'd studied. Humans weren't supposed to have any natural authority over Xarthian young. There was no biological mechanism, no pheromone compatibility, no hierarchical recognition pattern. "Have you been using any form of coercion? Bribery? Technological manipulation?" "What? No." Elara looked genuinely offended. "I just talk to them like people." "Because they are people. Just small ones." Before Vekthar could respond, his comm unit chimed. The display showed Ambassador Thexera, and the icon indicated maximum priority. "Security Officer Vekthar." The ambassador's voice resonated through the channel. "I have received reports that my offspring Rune was last seen in the company of the human-designated Elara Nox. Please confirm their safety immediately." Vekthar glanced at Rune, who was now completely asleep against Elara's boot, making soft purring sounds that his translator interpreted as contentment. "Ambassador, your offspring is safe. More than safe. They appear to be thriving." There was a pause. "Explain." "The human seems to have inadvertently assumed guardianship of 7 Xarthian cubs, including Ruin. They are exhibiting unprecedented cooperative behavior. Another pause. Longer this time. I am coming to your location. Do not allow the human to leave. 3 minutes later, Ambassador Thexara arrived, her imposing 2-meter frame causing other station visitors to scatter. She stopped short when she saw the scene. Ilara, sitting cross-legged on the floor, surrounded by 7 cubs, she was showing them something on her datapad, what appeared to be videos of Earth animals. And this one's called a red panda, Ilara was saying. They're not actually pandas. They're more closely related to. Oh, hey. She noticed the ambassador and started to stand, but Rune made a distressed chirp and grabbed her sleeve with tiny paws. It's okay, buddy, Ilara said softly. That's your mom. You should go say hi. Rune looked between Ilara and the ambassador, then chirped something that Vekthar's translator rendered as, but story time. Ambassador Thexara stared. In her 30 years of parenthood, Rune had never once willingly postponed playtime, let alone for something as sedentary as listening to information. Human Knox, the ambassador said carefully. What have you done to these children? Nothing, Ilara said. Hands up. They asked about Earth, so I've been telling them about animals and stuff. And they have been listening? Voluntarily? Yeah, they're great kids. Really curious. Rune here has a particular interest in marine biology, I think. She smiled at the cub, who chirped happily. Thexara slowly sat down, her legs folding beneath her in a posture of contemplation. Human Knox. I have a proposition. The Galactic Consortium has been struggling with Zarthian youth education for decades. Our young refuse traditional instruction, resist authority, and generally cause chaos. Yet you have managed to engage 7 of them in educational content for over 2 hours. Oh, it's been fun, honestly, Ilara said. They remind me of my nephew back home. I wish to hire you, Thexara said firmly, as a consultant for the Xarthian Education Reform Initiative. Ilara blinked. I'm just a botanical surveyor. You are, Vekthar interjected, finally understanding, a human. Your species has an inexplicable ability to pack bond with anything, to find common ground with beings that should be incomprehensible to you, and to inspire cooperation through nothing more than genuine care and respect. It's actually terrifying from a xenopsychology standpoint, Vekthar added, but also remarkably effective. Ilara looked down at the 7 cubs, who were all watching her with those crystalline eyes, waiting to hear more about Earth's oceans. Can I at least finish telling them about dolphins first? She asked. Ambassador Thexara's translator made a sound that might have been laughter. Human Knox. Take all the time you need. It seems my offspring has finally found a teacher worth listening to. As Ilara resumed her story, Rune settled back against her leg. And Vekthar updated his report with a note that would perplex xenobiologists for years to come. Human subject demonstrates category impossible influence over Xarthian juveniles through methodology classified as just being nice. The Galactic Consortium, he reflected, had severely underestimated humanity once again, not through their strength, their cunning, or their technology, but through their almost supernatural ability to make friends with absolutely anyone, including the galaxy's most notoriously unruly children. Humanity, fuck yeah, indeed.